Hello, good morning, this is Pixie. Just having another chat about things. I was just chatting to a woman actually earlier, one of my clients, and she was sort of making a bit of a wailing noise when I popped in. She was just sort of upset. I mean, she wasn't crying, she just like moaning, and she basically had a bad dream. And in her dream, run over. In her dream, she had saw her daughter was involved in an accident, and so I reassured her. But then she after she went back and sat back down, she started having these thoughts again about it. I said, look, well, if you're concentrating on a negative, then you're kind of manifesting it. You know, if you believe in luck and believe in things like that. So it is kind of magic law, but it's very hard to explain it to people. If you're layman or you've got some religious beliefs, you might be open-minded about things, but you may not necessarily can go that far, or could think that actually that might be real at some level. And so I said, look, if you concentrate on negative things, you just focus on that. And I joked around and said I send one of my minions to make sure she's all right and stuff. So I kind of just joked around with her. And then I mentioned to her, I said, do you know like minions, or we send an angel, because I know she's from like religious, like Christian type religious background. So you have to call forth sort of Michelangelo or Michael, Angel Michael, and it's just it was basically I mentioned to her that with nuns, that nuns don't pray to Jesus, they pray to an angel. So why do normal people pray to Jesus? So that's interesting. Or is Jesus a type of angel? That's the sort of an infused consciousness of all of them. And in essence, that could be true. That may be because it's something that's beyond man. You won't have a manifestation of flesh again on earth. So it's heaven on earth, isn't it? And so when he passed over, it was earth on heaven, because he existed and manifested in the earth, and then went forth to manifest in heaven. So there we go, that's just some thoughts. Something else, I did some sort of combination of spiritual travel and a bit of remote viewing, and I saw somebody that's like a giant strength. He's still alive, but he's chained up in a mountain. Samson. There's the legend about his hair. I don't know about exactly how that works. He did have long hair, but he was chained up in such big shackles that basically you could have an anchor of a large ship on it. So there's two massive chains, and I don't think they're normal steel either. It was more of a bluish colour to it. So it's been coated, so maybe just so it doesn't rust. But it's been in there probably thousands of years, so it looks at it. And I looked for the locations where I did my bit of remote viewing, and it was Israel. It's off to the northeast. There's a mountain range or something up there, so I'd have to have a look. How far do we have to go northeast before I hit a mountain range? And just really now I can do sort of my research on the internet. However, you do want to be careful what you put on the internet, because algorithms and things get read. I had a chat with my friend. I was going on about how you could have a story and you could have Bigfoot in it as with a child, and explaining these ideas of that and how it'd be great as a venture. And so I was probably chatting away there with a smartphone and next to me, and then you got this little foot thing come out. I think you even mentioned about that, and another thing. I'm not sure if it's about Littlefoot though, but I think it was the idea is that they would form a relationship with a Bigfoot, and I don't think it's been done as a child movie really. It's more like on the theme of Lilo and Stitch, in that you got some magical being at some level. And so I'm not saying I'm not saying that they stole my idea. I'm just saying that if you put things out there, anyone can see them. These big corporations will milk your ideas. If I can't have something really, really, really good, make a lot of good money on it, or it can change reality. Like if I put all the blueprints of some new design on a drive, online drive, then I may be opening myself up to some corporation. I'm using their servers to put my stuff on it, and I don't know if I've even read half of the stuff they always say click yes to, because so much legal speak on there. I mean, it's not, and even if something's in there, it doesn't say they're going to use. I mean, there's nothing about data protection on there probably, that they're not going to, be able to look at your information. They would probably justify it under some terrorism act and say that, well, potentially if you're like putting gun designs on there, we need to know because you might be a threat to national security in some way. But actually, you could be just inventing a weapon, and somebody else may pick that up and invent a weapon, so they did it. So, oh yeah, you've got the designs, I know how it works now. We've just tweak them here and there, and then we say this is our paint and design, and there's no work done in it. So, there's a lot of that stuff going on. So I just think you need to be cautious. There's been stuff on, I think David Icke covered it, and I've also noticed it myself on things, like it's not just looking on your purchases. Like if I looked up a new shirt, t-shirt, trousers, or a subject, that I get lots of feedback on it. It's also, it's collected information at a cookie level, and it's affected the algorithm. So this information is coming across in different forms, and as a result, when you're looking at Facebook, it shows a picture of clothes and things you might be interested in, and it just shows you that actively it's the AI is looking out for stuff. And the question is, what can you get away as a human that's not going to, basically tip the AI? So if you look up fairly mundane things like trainers and stuff like that, but if you start looking up sort of conspiracies and so on, you may end up getting yourself categorised. And there's a way of a kind of, how maybe a point system, and this point system, different point systems exist in like China, to get something about point system. So you could be recognised, like if you're jaywalking or whatever, run across the road and it was a red light, or go for a red light, and this information would be collected, and it would be, you basically name and shame citizens, or you would lose what they'd like to give as privileges. Now, they sold the idea of, if you've got a white privilege, you've got a black privilege, you've got a whatever, I don't know what that is. It's just like, something might be natural to your culture, and so that's considered a privilege. So I don't know. Let's see people saying, well, I'm a natural dancer, it's in my DNA, so that's my privilege. It just sounds a bit odd. And does it matter? I mean, it's very much one of the great things, and probably the most dangerous things, I guess probably for whites, is yes, with warfare, but it's the democracy, different types of warfare that exist, we've actually been quite good at. You get people to believe your politics, and then you just keep changing it because you're creating the narrative. Now, the other question about whites, do Jewish people come under as whites? I know they might say they're Jewish, but genetically, I mean, I could look at someone like that Netanyahu, and he's basically doesn't look that far different from myself. I look at him, I think, well, I don't like he's different in some way, and so there's a mixture of different. I mean, there's obviously different types of Jewish people, like there's different types of white people. Every eye colour is a different race, and the hair colour. But there's a blending of all of them. So we've had when we have these New World Order and massive wars, they churned us up. So because it's older than some of what's in the books, people don't really notice that. They think, oh no, but they don't know it's probably like white genocides and other things that happened as a result of the Roman Empire. If you can't merge with them, you would be crushed by them, and that's how they sort of expanded their empire. And there's Dr. Horton, I think her name is, Catherine Horton. She was just pointing out the New World Order, which I'm aware of, that everyone uses the same types of stuff. We use all the same colour cars, We have the same military, they have the same weapons. It's a lot easier to manage the same systems if you employ them everywhere in the world. This has been going for a long time. So the way people trade in gold, the way religions operate. You know, we can help you develop your religion. I mean, that's what happened with Christianity. They said, we've got this cult, and it does seem to actually have picked up a bit of speed on it. So I'll tell you what, we're going to change a few things. We're going to say that Jesus is the King of Jews in some way, so that the people can identify as Jewish people as having a close kinship with Jesus. And possibly we can suggest that he was related to a Jew. I'm spiritually picking up, I mean, if we look at a mythical character of Jesus, okay, it's likely more than one person, but however they've drawn upon, you know, they've basically been on the spiritual path, whatever that might be. And there's a chap, and I don't think he was king of the Jews, he's king of the gypsies, and he travelled around a lot. And he had a mother who was Mary, who had reddish hair. And so I think that's probably really where he got a lot of the mysticism side of it, his practices. However, he practiced his own faith and spirituality, and then he got more involved with the Christians, Christian group out there, who, if they did have a cross, he wasn't nailed to it dead. It was the cross as in the kind of like hoodoo type thing. It's the crossing over the elements. It's the connection to Ra. It's all these other connections, the elements. The Earth's got this round circle with a cross whacked on it. Yeah, because the other cross was Constantine's, and he had basically it was an X and the P. The P's the prophet, and he's nailed to the X. So it's vengefulness. It's like, you know, this is what you've done to me. This is what we're going to do to you now, sort of thing. Sort of throwing death in your face. So it's like wearing the blood of your kin and going to war, that sort of thing. Yeah. I think in the past you'd have, if people would fight with wolves or animals on their sides of their packs, they might actually wear their skins to give them more warrior strength. Some of the older tribes. Yeah. So that's more probably Northern Europe. They call them the barbarians, and things that come down using animals to fight in warfare. And so that's basically how it expanded out the New World Order. It's already here. I've always questioned where the Russians, where they are, and I think they're just to create the polarity. You need to have an enemy in order to create funding for other projects, when behind the scenes they're all best friends. The Russians come to the Bilderberg meetings and they look at how we can generate problems to make money. So it's nothing different there. I mean, maybe the last domino piece is for Russia, or is for certain places. I think it was for places like Argentina or something, the New World Order, these things about bringing them into line. They need to, of course, they're already a part of the New World Order, but they need to disrupt it so they fall completely in line. So the banking system is merged with the Rothschild banks, and they control their financial economy, the situation there, and their resources, their education programs, because that's what they are, programs. People get programs on what to do, how to function, and to what level, and that's why they call them degrees. But then if you don't do a degree, just go out and learn whatever you like, then you kind of you're an anomaly educationally. And what people do is say you've got some type of pseudo knowledge or something, or hasn't been scientifically proven. So the authority is the science. But yes, and some of these things also pertain to religions, like science sort of religion. When people say, does God exist? Oh no, the Big Bang Theory, everything was created by some immaculate explosion and it was all random, and basically based on randomness, sooner or later life will appear. And it's kind of like, really, you know, it's like, and someone say it's basically like throwing a load of minerals together and it creating a blooming computer. There's the likelihood of that situation involved, and even if you had a load of smashed up computers and you chucked them in a skip, they're not going to involve it, they're not going to turn into a new IBM or something. That nothing would be created in there. It would need some other consciousness to get things started, basically. And then it's clinging on to the idea of, well, if we can measure something as an object, and we can see it as an object, therefore all it is an object, but then you can't see what's inside it, and you don't see it as a container to something else. Like you don't see sort of yourself as a kind of dimension or universe when you have this kind of this educational system of structure works for me, so I'm not going to bother looking at anything else. I mean, I did see something, it was quite scary. It was looking at people with certain mental health, and these people with some medical backgrounds or belief in science jumped on it and started saying, oh yeah, well you need to obviously go see your shrink and psychiatrist, and then they started batting out, start attacking people for having their own spiritual beliefs and saying, oh no, these don't exist. And they were sort of saying about quantum physics and stuff, oh no, quantum physics doesn't exist and atoms don't exist. So you got these people that are either, they can be extreme Christians, and they might say it all got to fit into this narrative of the Bible, or it's going to fit into another narrative, where it's got to fit into this narrative of this religion called science. And maybe there's a non-science religion out there as well. But when philosophy and theology merge into a system of any sorts, like whether it's quantum physics, chemistry, or whatever, it starts escalating from being chemistry or whatever to being a religion, because you're talking about things that fall into the category of belief, and they claim to be evidence-based, but yet they do have beliefs that they don't exist because they can't prove they exist. Well, the esoteric way of doing it is the other way around. They exist until you can disprove they exist. At some level, yeah. But it also depends on the person. It's esoteric could form into religion, and it's sort of about the crossing of, definitely the blending of them, blending of sciences. So that's one element. What else do I want to mention? Oh yeah, I saw something to do with black-eyed kids as well. I saw this thing, it was a cyclops. It was like a black-eyed kid who was a cyclops. And that there's also ones without any eyes at all, which is probably really scary as well. It's kind of, how do we get in there undetected? And the ones without any eyes, I don't know, they look like they need to hold you or touch you, and then they might have you under some sort of control. They're probably some of these unhidden, these hidden type entities that exist. So, to call them jinn, they call them interdimensionals, people call them aliens, whatever, but they're actually some type of entities that are in a different dimension. And I had an experience, I didn't really quite understand it, but now I do. I had a sort of child jinn was probing around in my head, and I must have sensed her there, and I was trying to look for her in this place. It was like a haunted house or something, so she projected some other creature to scare me off, but it didn't really scare me because it was just weird. It was basically it's like a tiger without a bloody head on it, I guess. It was a zombie tiger. Had half his head smashed up, or it couldn't use its head. I couldn't really make out his features of it. So I was looking for her. Maybe I wanted to protect her or find out what she was doing there. But she was using it as a shield, as like a bodyguard. And then I kind of lined up with this tiger, and it knocked me down some sort of hole. But then the next day I I had a handprint like that, some sort of like claw print on my leg, and I looked at it, I thought, that's strange. And I thought, how would you do that to your inside of your leg like that? Sort of, why would I have had my hand at such a weird angle? It was like that angle, and basically it took 3 or 4 days to disappear. So it's not a normal handprint, and it could be something in defence, and it's more likely because she's at a different energy frequency than anything else. Anyway, this is Piggy sign off, and have a good one.